My name is Donald, and if you've ever been in a relationship where things suddenly fell apart, you'll want to stick around. You see, when most men hear their wives say, "I need space," they panic. But if you ever find yourself in this situation, let me tell you something. You don't beg, you don't argue. Instead, you stay calm and play it smart. So, let's start from the beginning. 15 years. That's how long Genevieve and I had been married. We weren't perfect. No couple is. But I always believed we had a strong foundation. We had faced struggles, disagreements, highs and lows. Yet at the end of the day, we were a team. Or at least, that's what I thought. Then, something changed. Our conversations became shorter. She started staying up later than usual, her phone in hand, the screen illuminating her face in the darkness. Whenever I asked what she was doing, she'd casually brush it off, just scrolling or texting a friend. At first, I ignored it. After all, everyone deserves privacy, right? But the more I observed, the more I noticed the little things. She started laughing at messages she wouldn't share with me. She guarded her phone, tilting the screen away and placing it face down on the table. Some nights, she'd get a text and, instead of replying immediately, she'd pick up her phone and leave the room. That's when unease began creeping in. If you've been with someone long enough, you just know when something feels off. I told myself I was overthinking it, that maybe I was making a big deal out of nothing. But deep down, I knew better. Then, one evening, she sat me down with a serious look on her face. I remember that moment vividly. We had just finished dinner. She placed her fork down, took a deep breath, and locked eyes with me. "Donald, I need space to find myself." My brain registered her words instantly, but my body went completely still. No reaction, just a quiet, sinking feeling in my chest. But I didn't let it show. I simply nodded slowly, leaning back in my chair. "Space, huh?" I repeated, keeping my tone neutral, almost amused. I made sure not to sound upset or hurt, just mildly curious. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this: the person who stays calm holds all the power. She hesitated, like she wasn't expecting me to take it so lightly. That's when I knew. This wasn't about needing time alone to reflect or some midlife self-discovery. Something else was going on. My instincts told me that much. And when your instincts speak, you listen. I asked her exactly what she meant. Did she want time alone at home? Was she planning to go somewhere? Was she feeling overwhelmed? She gave vague, empty answers. Things like, "I just need to figure things out." Figure what out? I watched her closely. The way she avoided eye contact. The way she fidgeted with her fingers. Right then, I made a decision. I wasn't going to bombard her with questions she had already decided not to answer. No, instead, I was going to find out the truth myself. People say, trust your partner. I say, trust your instincts. And mine were screaming at me. So, in the days that followed, I started digging. Sometimes, the truth isn't hidden deep. It's right in front of you, just waiting for someone to notice. First, I checked her phone records. Nothing complicated. Just a simple review to see if a particular number kept appearing. And sure enough, there was one. Over and over. Next, I looked through her social media. I paid attention to the small details. Who was liking her posts, who was leaving comments. But more importantly, I checked who she had recently started following. That's when I saw it. A familiar name. A name I hadn't heard in years. Her high school boyfriend. The guy she dated before me. The one she used to talk about like some unfinished teenage love story. And now, there he was, back in her life. At first, I stayed calm. I told myself it could be innocent. Maybe they had just reconnected. But then I saw the messages. The long conversations. The emojis. The just thinking about old times texts. The kind of messages that don't belong in a married woman's inbox. I could have woken her up right then and confronted her, demanded an explanation. But I didn't. I didn't say a word about what I had discovered. Because here's the thing, when someone says they need space, they've already taken it. They made their decision long before they voiced it. They just want you to wait around so they can feel less guilty. But here's what most people don't realize. When a woman asks for space, she expects you to chase her. She expects you to call, text, show up with flowers, and beg to fix things. So I did the opposite. I gave her all the space she wanted. If she didn't talk to me, I didn't talk to her. And when she did speak to me, I kept my responses short, polite, but distant. No cold attitude. No passive aggression. Just controlled indifference. And since I wasn't wasting my time begging for her attention, I focused on myself. First stop, the gym. I hit the weights harder than I had in years. Not to impress her, but because it felt damn good to invest my energy into something that actually benefited me. Then I upgraded my wardrobe. Bought new, well-fitted clothes. Tossed out the old, worn-out stuff. She didn't even notice. Fresh haircut. Clean shave. Every morning, I looked in the mirror and saw a man who wasn't waiting around to be chosen. But the best part, I reignited my social life, stepping back into a world I had neglected for far too long. I started reconnecting with old friends, guys I hadn't seen in months, even years, because I had spent so much time making my marriage my top priority. Instead of dodging invitations, I embraced them. When Friday night arrived, I was out enjoying myself, not sitting at home wondering about her whereabouts. See, Genevieve had her little support circle, the friends who comforted her, the ones who reassured her that she deserved to be happy. But those same women, they noticed a shift in me almost immediately. When I ran into them, I wasn't the bitter, heartbroken husband they had expected. I was confident, at ease, and completely unbothered. I cracked jokes, smiled more, and kept conversations light and engaging. And trust me, they noticed. At first, it was just a lingering glance, a subtle smile, a casual, "Wow, Donald, you're looking good these days." But soon, the compliments turned into curiosity. And you better believe Genevieve saw it too. She noticed how they laughed a little too hard at my jokes, how they lingered in conversations with me. Initially, she reveled in her so-called freedom. She convinced herself she had made the right decision, that she just needed space, to breathe, to explore, to figure things out. But the change in dynamics didn't go unnoticed, and soon her excitement turned to unease. She never expected me to change. She assumed I'd be sulking, waiting for her to come back, desperate to prove my worth. Instead, I flipped the script. I moved on, and that rattled her. The first signs of her jealousy were subtle. Small, fleeting expressions she tried to conceal. But I caught them. The way she tensed up when she saw her friends giggling around me, touching my arm as they laughed at my jokes. The way her best friend suddenly became extra nice, showering me with compliments at every opportunity. I wasn't trying to do anything special. I was just being me, only better. And it was working. Genevieve noticed. That's when it hit her. She was losing me. The distance she had craved was now working against her. She couldn't help herself. One evening, while I was lounging in the living room, she casually walked in and asked, "How was your day?" Like nothing had happened. I didn't give her what she wanted. It was good. That's all I said. No details, no excitement, just a neutral, detached response. I kept my tone light yet distant, polite but disinterested. I wasn't rude. I wasn't cruel. But I made sure she felt the shift. She was no longer my priority. I saw in her face. She expected more. She thought I'd light up at the sound of her voice, eager to engage. But that's not how the game worked anymore. I was done playing by her rules. That moment, that was the beginning of her realization. A few days later, she tried again. This time, she put in effort. She started talking to me more, not just casual small talk, but real conversations, asking about my plans, commenting on my appearance, dropping hints that she was noticing the new me. Then came the date night suggestion. We should go out sometime. Just us. Dinner, maybe? I knew exactly what she was doing. She was trying to ease her way back in, expecting me to jump at the opportunity. But I wasn't about to make it that easy. I played it cool. Maybe. Let me check my schedule. That response? It killed her. She expected immediate excitement, relief that she was finally coming back. Instead, she had to sit with the uncertainty, The same uncertainty she had thrown my way when she asked for space. Then came the dressing up. Suddenly, she was wearing the outfit she knew I liked, fixing her hair, wearing my favorite perfume around the house. Small things, but deliberate ones. She wasn't doing it for herself. She was doing it for my attention. And still I didn't bite. I remained composed, cool, in control. It was only a matter of time before she cracked. And when she did, I made sure to remember every detail. One night, she finally said it. The words I had known were coming but refused to pull from her lips. She sat down, looked me dead in the eye, and admitted it. I think I made a mistake. Her voice was softer now, uncertain. Asterisk, I don't need space. I need us. I leaned back, watching her, letting her words settle. Then I gave her the answer that had been sitting on my tongue for months. I gave you space because you asked for it. But now I'm not sure I want to go back to how things were. Her face fell. That's when she knew. The power had shifted. I could see the regret in her eyes. She had played herself. But by then, it didn't matter anymore. I'm done, I told her, my voice steady. You wanted space, and I realized I deserved someone who never needed it in the first place. And just like that, it was over. I watched as she sat there, stunned, unable to process how the man she assumed would always be waiting had slipped right through her fingers. The high school sweetheart? A joke, a distraction. He was never serious about her. Just an old flame playing with her emotions, reliving the past before moving on with his own life. The separation took months to finalize, but before it was over, she confessed. I regret it. I regret all of it. But by then I was already gone, already in a better place, with someone who actually valued what I had to offer. And she was left alone. So tell me, was I wrong? Should I have taken her back after everything? Or was I right to move on? I know some people will say, man, you should have fought for your marriage. But let me ask you, fought for what? For a woman who tossed me aside the second she thought she had a better option? A woman who only realized my value when she saw other women appreciating me? That's not love. That's possession. She didn't want me. She just didn't want to lose me to someone else. And that's a big difference. Let me tell you something I learned the hard way. When a woman says she needs space, she's already made up her mind. She just doesn't have the courage to tell you the full truth. She's not asking for space to think. She's asking for space to explore her options without guilt. And the moment you start begging, pleading, or try to convince her otherwise, you confirm what she already suspects, that you're desperate and she can do better. Listen, fellas, if your woman ever hits you with that I need space nonsense, do not chase her. Don't cry. Don't beg. Don't flood her phone with messages about how much you love her. That's exactly what she's expecting. And the moment you do it, you make her decision easier. Instead, give her exactly what she's asking for, but on your terms. Pull back. Work on yourself. Hit the gym. Upgrade your wardrobe. Go out with friends. And make sure she sees you thriving without her. Let her feel the absence of the man she thought she could replace so easily. And here's the crazy part. Once she sees that other women are noticing you, that you're moving forward instead of waiting around, she'll start questioning everything. She'll feel that jealousy creeping in. And suddenly, she's the one chasing you. And when that happens, you decide if she's even worth taking back. At the end of the day, this is about self-respect. Never let anyone treat you like a backup plan. Know your worth. And if someone needs to lose you to realize it, let them lose you for good.